Connie, hello.
Hi.
How does it feel to be involved in the second most anticipated sequel of the year after Nobody 2, Mr. Nobody 2?
Oh, thank you.
That is a movie that it's one of those real hidden gems.
We just finished shooting just before I came here.
Really?
Yeah, it was really fun.
Can we expect something exciting then? As good as the first?
It's going to be amazing.
I do love, obviously, we'll talk about Gladiator in a second. This is a film that comes with all this expectation and stuff, but when you're involved in those little gems that nobody really knows much about or what to expect, and then it just turns out to be like a real kind of quality, one of those kind of like underground word of mouth sort of things. As an actor, it must be really gratifying to be involved in like both those kind of sides of the business.
Yeah, I think, all credit is due to Ilya and Bob Odenkirk. It was like Ilya, our director, was amazing and, came straight out of like sort of underground Russian music videos and rock and roll. And then Bob Odenkirk, who just has an incredible instinct and is a wonderful performer. So, yes.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to that. But let's talk about this one, shall we? Gladiator. I never thought I'd see the day when there was a real Gladiator sequel. It's one of those where I think the studios would have loved this to have arrived years back to kind of keep that gravy train running. But it's right in a way that we've waited this long. Let's talk about your experiences with the first. Looking back all those years ago, did you ever have a sense that you were going to be involved in something that would have its place in cinema history?
I think we all thought it was going to be a pretty great movie. I don't know that we thought it would become like a classic in that way. I don't think that we were thinking that far, and we were young. And but even Ridley at the time was still being sort of like underestimated a lot. Blade Runner was like, the critics had demolished it, and yet it's like, to me, one of the most brilliant films. And I think it was Joaquin who said like that one of the things that he thought about before we started was, think about it, Connie. He said, like, this is like the guy who created the universe of Blade Runner. He's going to do that to the Roman Empire. And I was just like, yep, that's exactly going to be amazing. And then we came to Malta and we saw what he built. And then we were like, oh, I don't think we said OMG at the time, but I think we would have.
Let's talk about how big you go in this, because it's the most unhinged character in the film, arguably. Did that have some fears and trepidation of getting on set with the likes of Ridley Scott, with the likes of Denzel Washington, and being like, I've got to eat up this screen? And how did they encourage you to do that?
I mean, I feel that a big part of acting is trafficking in fear and nerves. I think you want to do things that have that feel true and new and haven't been done before and are scary to you, but reveal something, I guess. And so for me, I always find that ends up being, or has frequently been, a blend of joy and excitement and like immense fear and yeah, it's just there are days where you're so scared. You're like, you're scared. Yeah, I don't know.
It's interesting you bring up Blade Runner, because there's a really successful sequel made by Denis Villeneuve, which is an amazing movie in its own right. But to hear Ridley talk about it, you can tell there's almost a sense of regret in a way that he didn't go back and manage to get his teeth stuck into that world again. Do you think Gladiator 2 could have worked without him?
No, I don't. I really don't think so. I have to say, he has this aesthetic that is unheard of. Like, I've never seen that particular aesthetic anywhere else. He knows how to build texture and nuance into every part of the image, because he thinks about so many different things all at once, and takes care of detail in such a way that I don't think anyone is like that. And I don't think anyone can make things that particular. I call it crunchy. Like, he's got like this crunchy experience, like when the toast is just right. That's what it's like with him. Like, he builds these images that are just like perfect.
Tell me about working with Denzel Washington, because you have, I don't want to give too much away about the film, but you have like an intimate relationship. Your characters have an intimate relationship with how you kind of politically and there's a lot of stuff that goes on there. Again, It's hard to say without kind of giving away massive spoilers. But working with somebody who's regarded as one of the greatest actors of his generation, one of the greatest actors living today, like, I don't know how you'd like sleep the night before. Like, how does that go? Do you guys sit together beforehand and like chew it out and work out where you want to go? How much did you try to soak up from his presence on set as an actor for like going forward in future projects and stuff?
I think you learn so much by osmosis, and obviously, like everyone, I have the impulse to ask a million questions and want to like, want to like find the Bible that is that person. But in actuality, I don't know that it exists for anybody. I think in actuality, the process of working is a very intense and intimate thing, and you learn through that kind of practical magic. He is, without a doubt, one of our great artists. I mean, he's just, to me, a hero and one of the most powerful actors. Sharing those scenes, like working together in that way, it was just amazing because nothing is missed by him. You feel an artist that is so in the moment of the moment, that is so focused on who he is, that character, and his entire environment, and so it's very exhilarating. I think as an actor, people are always chasing a kind of surprise, and when you work with someone that great, everything is very exciting and surprising.
It's difficult to like sum up in like in a short answer, I guess, but kind of returning to something like this without some of that iconic cast around you, and you've got a whole, Denzel Washington, for God's sake, is in it, but to be there without Russell and without Joaquin, was there any sense of kind of like a sadness with the excitement as well, or did this feel completely this new machine that you were like thrown into? And
I felt like Ridley. First of all, I really trust Ridley, and second of all, like with that cast, he had built like an extraordinary cast. And so you really had like, yes, a completely new sort of like team, if you will, but he knows how to cast.